Listen closely, my friends. There is a version of success that most people spend their entire lives chasing and never quite catch. Not because they are not talented enough, not because they do not work hard enough, not because the opportunity never arrived, but because they were chasing it. And the chasing, that specific desperate forward-leaning pursuit of the result, before the person capable of holding the result has been built, is the very thing that keeps it one step ahead, always visible, never quite reachable. Like running toward the horizon, the faster you run, the further it moves, and somewhere in the exhaustion of that running, a different question emerges. What if the success was not something to be chased? What if it was something to be attracted? Not through passive waiting, not through wishful thinking, but through the specific daily practice of becoming the kind of person for whom that success is the natural outcome, the inevitable result, not of the chasing, but of the growing. That is what today is about. Marcus Aurelius was not chasing success. He was an emperor, by most measures. He had already arrived, and yet, every morning, he returned to the same practice, not the governance, not the strategy, the growth, the daily honest examination of whether he was becoming more patient, more clear, more genuinely wise than the day before. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one, not perform one, not wait until the circumstances supported being one. Be one today, in the small choices, in the ordinary moments." In the specific daily practice of growth, that had nothing to do with the result, and everything to do with the person. And the person he was becoming, through that daily practice, produced results that history still studies. Not because he chased them, because he grew into them. The first principle. Stop measuring yourself by what you have achieved. Measure by who you are becoming. Most people measure themselves against outcomes. Did it work? Did it arrive? Did the goal get hit? Did the recognition come? And when the outcome has not yet arrived, when the goal is still ahead, when the recognition is still withheld, the measurement returns a verdict. Not there yet, behind, insufficient. And that verdict, issued daily, against an outcome that has not arrived, is one of the most effective ways to drain the energy required to reach it. The Stoics measured differently. They measured against the person they were choosing to become, not the destination, the direction, not the arrival, the alignment. Am I moving, today, in the direction of who I am choosing to be? Am I slightly more patient than yesterday, slightly more disciplined, slightly more honest, slightly closer to the version of myself that the person with the success already is? That measurement, available every day, regardless of external outcomes, is the one that actually builds the thing. Because the person who grows consistently does not need to chase the result. The result recognizes the person and finds them. The second principle, build in silence. The noise is stealing your energy. Here is one of the most important things to understand about the growth that attracts success. It is almost always silent. The most significant growth happening in your life right now is not the visible kind. Not the kind being posted, not the kind being announced, not the kind that is performing for an audience. The most significant growth is the private kind, the hour invested when nobody knew you were investing, the standard held when nobody would have known you lowered it, the skill built in the repetition, that felt unremarkable, but was quietly becoming something remarkable. Seneca wrote, "Recede in te ipse." Retire into yourself, build there, in the quiet, where the noise of comparison and the drain of performance cannot reach, because here is what the noise does. It takes the energy that belongs to the building and redirects it to the managing of the impression of building. And managing the impression is not the same as building. It is the substitute for building that feels productive, but produces nothing. Stop announcing. Build. The announcement will take care of itself. when the building is complete enough to be undeniable. The third principle, discipline is not punishment. It is the bridge to the person you are becoming. Most people have a complicated relationship with discipline. They see it as something imposed, something restrictive, something that takes away the comfortable option and replaces it with the harder one. And that framing of discipline as restriction makes it the enemy, the thing to be endured rather than embraced. The Stoics saw it completely differently. They saw discipline as the specific bridge between who you are today and who you are choosing to become. Not a punishment, a pathway. And the person who understands discipline as a pathway walks it differently, not with resentment, with purpose. Because every disciplined choice, every moment you chose the hard option, every time you showed up when the comfortable alternative was right there, is a step on the bridge, a brick in the person you are building. And here is the truth about bridges. You cannot see the other side from the beginning. You can only see the next step. And the next step is enough. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present, not the destination, not the arrival. The present step, the present choice. The present moment of discipline, that is building the bridge. Whether or not the other side is visible, take the step every day. That is enough." The fourth principle. Your environment is either growing you or shrinking you. There is no middle ground. Here is a truth that most people underestimate. The people you spend the most time with, the content you consistently consume, the conversations you regularly join, the physical space you inhabit are all doing something to you every day. Whether you are aware of it or not, they are either expanding your sense of what is possible or contracting it, raising the standard you hold yourself to or lowering it, building the belief that growth is achievable or quietly confirming the story that it is not. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you, not the most entertaining people, not the most comfortable people, the people who are likely to improve you." And here is the honest question. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they growing? Are they building something? Do they have standards you want to rise to meet? Or are they comfortable, stagnant, finding reasons why things do not work, rather than finding ways to make them work? Because the environment you are in is calibrating you to its standard, not yours, not the standard of the person you are choosing to become, its standard. And if its standard is lower, you will drift toward it. Not immediately, gradually, without noticing, until you look up one day and realize that the growth you were pursuing has slowed significantly. And the environment is a significant reason why. Build the environment deliberately. Choose the inputs carefully. Protect the space where the growth happens, from the noise and the comparison and the comfortable conversations that feel good but build nothing. The fifth principle. Patience is not passive. It is the most active practice available. Here is the hardest thing about focusing on growth. Rather than chasing success, it requires patience. And patience, in a world designed for instant gratification, in a culture that celebrates the overnight success and never shows the years before it, is genuinely difficult. And here is what makes it harder. The growth is often invisible. For a long time, you are building and building and building, and from the outside, nothing seems to be happening. The result has not arrived. The recognition has not come. The evidence of the work is not yet visible to anyone, including sometimes yourself. And in that gap between the invisible building and the visible result, most people stop. They decide the building is not working, that the approach is wrong, that something needs to change, and they switch to a new approach that also builds invisibly for a while until they switch again. And the consistent switcher never stays with any one thing long enough for the invisible to become visible. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How much more harm is done by thinking about one's problems than by the problems themselves. The thinking that says it is not working is almost always wrong. The building is working. It is simply underground. The roots do not announce themselves, but the tree that grows without them does not stay with the building through the invisible phase, through the nothing seems to be happening phase, through the am I doing this right phase, because on the other side of the patience is the emergence, and the emergence, when it comes, is not random. It is the cumulative result of every day you stayed, when the leaving would have been easier. The sixth principle, every setback is data, not verdict. This is the principle that keeps the growth going, through the moments that feel like stopping, because here is what happens on the way to becoming the person that success finds. You fail, repeatedly, in different ways at different things, and each failure arrives with a specific temptation to interpret it as verdict, as evidence, as confirmation of the story that was already running, that you are not the person for whom this works. The Stoics had a completely different relationship with failure. They did not call it failure. They called it information, specifically useful information about what does not work, that the person who never tried can never have. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way, the setback, the obstacle, the thing that looked like the wrong direction, is the path not around it, through it. And the person who knows this, who receives each setback as data rather than verdict, is the person who does not stop, who redirects, who adjusts, who uses the information. That costs something to get, to make the next attempt better, more precise, more likely to work, because now they know something they did not know before. And that knowing, built from the data of the setback, is worth more than the comfort of never having tried. The seventh principle, successes, is not the destination. It is the recognition of who you have become. This is the truth that changes the entire relationship with success. Most people think of success as something external, something that arrives, something that can be pointed to, the achievement, the number, the title, the moment everyone finally sees. And those things are real. They do exist. But they are not the success itself. They are the recognition of the success. The success, the real success, already happened. In the private building, in the daily discipline, in the 1,000 small choices made in the direction of growth. When the comfortable choice was right there. In the patience held, through the invisible phase, in the setback received as data, and used, rather than as verdict, and internalized. The success was built there, in the becoming. And the external recognition, when it arrives, is simply the world catching up to what was already real. Seneca wrote, "While we delay, life passes." Do not delay the building. While waiting for the recognition will find the builder. It always does. But it cannot find someone who stopped building, to wait for it. Build every day, in the quiet, without the announcement, without the immediate validation, without the visible result that proves it is working. Build because the building is the work, and the work, done honestly and consistently, produces the person, and the person, genuinely built, produces the success, not the other way around. So here are the 7 principles. Stop measuring by achievement. Measure by who you are becoming. Build in silence. The noise is stealing your energy. Discipline is the bridge, not the punishment. Your environment is either growing or shrinking you. Patience is active, not passive. Every setback is data, not verdict. Success recognizes who you have become. It does not arrive randomly. 7 principles, none of them requiring external permission. All of them available right now. In the next choice you make, in the next hour you give to the building, in the next moment you choose growth over the comfortable alternative. That was always right there. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The strength is not in the chasing. It is in the building. In the daily, quiet, deliberate growth, that does not need an audience, does not need external confirmation, does not need the result to arrive before it will continue. It simply builds every day. Because the building is enough. And the building, continued long enough, attracts everything. Listen closely, my friends. One final time, stop chasing success. Start growing toward it. Not because the success does not matter. Because the growing, done honestly, done consistently, done with the specific patience of someone who understands that the person must come before the result, makes the success inevitable. Not maybe. Inevitable. Because the person who grows without stopping eventually becomes the person that success cannot ignore. And success, when it finds that person, stays, because it found the foundation. Not the performance, the real thing, built in the quiet, one day at a time. That is the work. That is the Stoic way. That is where everything worth having has always come from. If this gave you something worth building today, share it with one person who needs to stop chasing and start growing. Subscribe for new Stoic wisdom every single week.